pod bay doors, please, Hal.
May I have the envelope, please?
And the Oscar for Best Picture is presented to...
And the Oscar goes 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 to...
And the Oscar goes...
And the Oscar goes... And the Oscar goes to...
The Oscar goes to...
The Oscar goes to...
And the Oscar goes to...
The Oscar goes to...
And 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 the Oscar goes to...
Slumdog Millionaire...
An American in Paris.
Platoon. Birdman.
Chariots of Fire.
Driving Miss Daisy.
Forrest Gump.
From here to eternity.
Gigi.
Hamlet. Gandhi.
Amadeus.
Ben-Hur.
Braveheart.
American Beauty.
Cleopatra.
In the Heat of the Night.
Midnight Cowboy. $1 Million Baby.
Oliver.
My Fair Lady.
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Rain Man.
Patton.
Nomadland. Ordinary People.
Shakespeare in Love.
Green Book.
The English Patient.
Lawrence of Arabia.
West Side Story.
Marty.
No Country for Old Men.
You're supposed to say, and the Oscar goes to.
And the winner is...
The winner is... The winner is...
The winner is...
The winner is...
The winner is...
The winner is...
And the winner is...
The winner is...
The winner is...
The winner is...
And the winner is...
Chicago!
Dances with Wolves.
The Deer Hunter.
The Bridge on the River Kwai.
Parasite.
Godfather. Godfather Part 2.
The Hurt Locker.
The Last Emperor.
The Silence of the Lambs.
The Sound of Music.
The Greatest Show on Earth.
The Artist.
Out of Africa.
The Sting.
On the Water.
The Shape of Water.
And the Oscar goes to...
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 And the Oscar goes to... And the Oscar goes to...
And the Oscar goes to...
And the Oscar goes to...
Gladiator.
Kramer versus Kramer.
The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King...
Crash.
Annie Hall.
The Departed.
Rocky. Unforgiven. The French Connection.
Argo.
Titanic. Spotlight.
A Man Called Steve.
All the King's Men.
All About Eve.
Moonlight.
Around the World in 80 Days.
The King's Speech...
Schindler's List.
12 Years a Slave.
A Beautiful Mind...
And the Oscar goes to...
The pod bay doors are open. Welcome once again. I'm your host, Jerry Dean Roberts of ArmchairCinema.com and ArmchairOscars.com. Seated here once again with the gold standard in podcast co-hosts, the critic, dare I say legend, from TalkMovieMe.com, Mr. Doug Heller. How that card today, sir?
How brave of him to show off his shortcomings to the entire world.
Not an exact quote, but a good one.
No, but a good one.
David Niven.
Yes. The
David Niven.
unflappable David Niven.
Yes. Welcome to our annual rundown of what Oscar considers the best of the year. Although, I'm going to tell you something. This year is a giant ball pit.
Mm-hmm.
There is not one movie that everybody is pulling for.
No, not at all.
There's not one movie that is there's not 5 movies that are universally on everybody's list.
I don't know. Everything Everywhere All at Once.
And maybe the Banshees of Inisherin.
Yeah, Banshees of Inisherin.
But I mean, it's just not. This is a very weird. We got 2 blockbusters on the Best Picture list this year.
That's true.
But not insignificant ones. We're talking about, of course, the nominees for the 95th Annual Academy Awards. We do this every year, and the temper of this show is essentially we run down the list of nominees, and we talk about them one by one, and maybe throw in 1 or 2 others in between or afterward. But first, I want to ask you, what did you think of this year's nominees?
Well, strictly on a Best Picture front, I was.
This would not be anywhere near my top 10. I mean,
no. I mean,
even though your favorite movie of the year is on it.
Yes, but only. I think two of them, maybe. Three of them. I think made my top 10. Avatar, Everything Everywhere All at Once, and Banshees of Inisherin. Maybe The Fabelmans, I'm not sure. But I'll tell you what, All Quiet on the Western Front was the surprise nomination, and boy, howdy, is that a good movie.
Yeah. This is a... I don't know what I would put on this list. Honestly, it's been such a bizarre year. There's stuff that I wanted on to be nominated that the Oscar didn't even look at. My two of my favorite films of the year are not even here. Happening and Vortex are not even here.
Happening was not the official French.
No, it wasn't.
That's when I was
but
mad.
It should have been.
When I was mad that Decision to Leave wasn't nominated, I suddenly realized that Stoker was the Korean entry.
Really? I didn't
Decision
know that.
to Leave was not an official entry, so it could not have been nominated. Same thing with RRR. India did not submit that as its international feature,
which is really good because that's kind of a breakout film.
Yeah.
The films that they picked for the international feature are very standard.
Yes.
I will say this. The Academy, the entire Academy for the Best Picture category, really did think outside the box. But the international, not so much, because they're all very standard picks.
Yeah, and they're the ones that I've seen. Okay, I've actually only gotten to see two of them. I got to see a whole lot of international features this year, just none of them were nominated except EO.
Right.
and All Quiet on the Western Front. I do want to watch Argentina 1985, but
we have a screener of that. We got actually a hard copy. We actually got a DVD of that.
Of The Irish Girl. The Quiet Girl.
Quiet Girl.
That Irish movie I'm kind of interested in because it's in Irish.
Gaelic?
Yeah.
Is it Gaelic?
Well, yeah, whatever. It's based in Gaelic, but I don't know if they technically still call it Gaelic, but it's Irish. It's not English.
It's the Irish language.
Yeah, it's not English enough to be in the international feature category. Right. And EO is that weird update of
the donkey movie.
Balthazar. Yeah. I mean, it was good.
It was weird. This is a year. There are two movies. EO was about a donkey seeing the world through the eyes of a donkey, and Cow was seeing the world through the eyes of a cow. It's like this was. It's strange they would come out the same year.
But one was a documentary and the other was not.
It was kind of a documentary.
EO
was kind of a documentary. It was kind of
it was
a little
all
bit,
staged.
maybe. Yeah. Well, it was just strange that concept would yield two films. They're not that far apart. They really aren't. It's your animal rights film of the year, and it's a very unique approach.
Yes.
Was we both saw EO.
Yeah.
I saw Cow early in the year, and I was like, I know exactly what this is going to be. This is going to be a very sad look at the life of a cow, and it's going to draw comparisons with how human beings are treated. And I sat down to watch the movie, and that's exactly what it was.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, it's not a happy experience. It's not an ineffective one, but we have to mention this: the best director category. They're all men.
All white men.
6 men. 6. Because there are 2 nominees for Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Right. Which actually yielded...
Doesn't happen very often.
Which actually yielded the only non-white directing nominee in Daniel Kwan.
Because the others are...
It's Daniel Kwan and Dan Shiner.
Yeah.
Martin McDonagh.
Spielberg.
Steven Spielberg. Ruben Östlund. And Todd Field.
Todd Field. His first nomination, I think.
Yeah.
Is it his first nomination? Yeah.
As
his
a
first
director,
nomination.
yeah.
Yeah.
And Dan Kwan is the only not white person nominated for, and it's very frustrating because there were several films directed by women, people of color.
Yep.
Women of color. I can think of 2. I would have been ecstatic if Gina Prince-Bythewood would have gotten nominated for the Woman King.
Sarah Polley.
Film
got nominated for Best Picture.
The woman that directed Till.
Yes, yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah. Till got nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Which we'll talk about to Leslie a little later. But
yeah.
But let's get to the Best Picture nominees, and we're going to start right at the top with this is the first movie we're going to talk about is the last movie I saw. It is All Quiet on the Western Front, the first film version of this film ever to be made in German.
And interestingly enough, it takes the most liberties with the story.
Yeah.
And it this one, the original the book and the original film from 1930.
Directed by Louis Milestone.
Yes. Which won Best Picture and Best Direction.
And a very interesting point in that it was the 3rd film nominated for Best Picture. 2 years after they had nominated a very patriotic, sort of almost bubblegum picture called Wings.
Yeah.
That movie, All Quiet on the Western Front, made Wings look almost obscene.
Yeah.
Because
I All Quiet on the Western Front was when I first had a DVD player. I went to, I think it was Best Buy.
Yeah.
And I bought 2 DVDs to go home and watch.
Yeah.
One of them was The Wizard of Oz. And the other was All Quiet on the Western Front. Because what pairs better?
Well, yeah, you know.
I have seen that 1930 original a dozen times.
I have too.
And I've read the book.
And I've read the book twice.
Yeah. And I was very impressed with this film.
Here's where I am. I saw the movie 2 days ago. I had a little issue because the copy that I had no subtitles, so I was digging around. That's why it took me so long to see it, because I was digging around because I had a copy of it and had no subtitles. And I thought, well, I can push through it. I know the story. No, you can't push through it. Because this has a lot more dialogue than the Louis Milestone film.
Yeah.
Largely, I mean, the original film was really coming off of the silent era, and it's such a visual exercise that you almost don't even need dialogue.
Right. The direction, Milestone's direction is just phenomenal. the way that he's moving the camera in an early sound period is revolutionary, and in ways that they were not able to reproduce for another 10 years.
He was studying, I think he was really studying D.W. Griffith.
Yeah.
Because what he put together with, God help me, Birth of a Nation, as bad as that film is, the camera work and all the things, the innovations, you can see where all of that came from, and how it all fit into All Quiet on the Western Front, how it evolved from that. The thing about this film, let me tell you what happened to me. Okay, I saw the movie when I was a teenager for the first time. And coming off of that, I read the book. Now, this was in late 1989, when we were building to war.
Mm-hmm.
And some people were jokingly talking about the draft. And this landed in my lap. And I was also 18.
Yeah.
It landed on me. And this story does land on you like a ton of bricks.
Mm-hmm.
Where I am, and I have mixed feelings about the new one, only to this degree. Because the book and the Lewis Milestone film, what is in my mind, in my head, as to that story, is the cold, brutal inhumanity of the complete machine that was grinding up a generation of French and English and British. And was just, it was a nasty, ugly, brutal conflict. And so the story is emblematic of that. When Eric Remarque wrote about it, and when Lewis Milestone made a movie about it. The movie, I give it points for this. It does try to have moments of humanity that are not present in the previous versions.
Right.
And I'm still struggling with that, because to me, the story has always been about what happens. The representation of that is at the very beginning of this movie, when a soldier is shot dead. Several soldiers are shot dead. And they take their uniforms and they bag them up and they take them back and they wash them. They give them to the seamstress and they recycle them to fresh recruits.
Right. And you see Paul get his, and there's another.
It's got the other guy's name in it.
Yeah, there's got somebody's name sewn in it.
And the guy, the officer rips it out and says, "Oh, it was probably too small for him."
Yeah, yeah.
That to me is a representation of the industrial complex that was chewing these boys up.
Yeah.
With that momentum keeps slowing down through the movie, and there are these little moments of humanity that have not been present before. So that was a little jarring to me. For example, when Paul is sitting there and he's reading that letter to his friend, and it's from his wife, and he realizes they had a son that died. That's not in the previous.
No.
So it's trying to get back to a bit of humanity. But the problem is, I never equate World War I with any measure of humanity. It's all mud and death. And this industrial complex.
Well, but there was that Joyeux Noël.
Yeah, because that was the Christmas Eve, or Christmas Day. But when I think of the book and the earlier film, what I think of, and the better parts of this one, are the images of these boys in the trench, and it's raining.
Yeah.
And the water is up to their knees, and they're trying to bail water. And I'm thinking, where are you throwing the water? It's just coming back down.
Yeah.
You know, where are you throwing the water? And Paul is there, and he turns around to talk to his fellow officer, who is then shot through the eye.
Yeah.
He gets up to the ground, and he's loading his rifle, and the guy next to him falls over dead.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the story is.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just the tempo of the film kept slowing down for those little moments, and probably didn't need them. You may see it differently, but it was.
I liked the touches.
And very often it did slow to a crawl, because there's scenes where they're just walking along talking, and it's like.
And you don't even have the benefit of Aaron Sorkin. With the
Well, it's not that. It's that these guys, based on what they've been through, would be walking along with the 1,000-yard stare, or at least I would. And it's not that I didn't like the film. I like the film very much. It's just maybe it's because it's been 48 hours. And I'm so comparing it to a story that has been in my head for 30 years.
Right. It was once I started to notice it was diverging, I stopped looking for the whole story that I knew, and just started looking for some of the plot points, like when Kat dies and stuff like that, and that's handled completely differently.
Yeah. So it's the ending.
Yeah. Because
and the beginning.
Yeah. In the original ending is you see Paul marching back to the front, looking back over his shoulders, and superimposed are the faces of his friends, and you see the boots stomping, because the boots were there was one good pair of boots that kept going to the next friend that was alive, and Paul wound up with them.
Yeah.
And you don't.
But who could ever forget?
You don't.
Who could ever forget? Who could ever forget Lou Ayres? Reaching for that butterfly, and that one bullet is just he's done with in a second, and that to me is the impact.
Yeah.
I miss that.
I will grant that, yes, the way that they change it, and having him and Kat going home at the end of the war, and then ending up getting caught up with the crazy vice chancellor that's like, we're gonna have one big last attack and we're gonna win this war on the last day.
And they kept saying that. They kept saying that over and over and over again. This is gonna be our last big one.
Yeah.
This is gonna be our last big one, and they kept doing it.
Yeah. And
it wasn't happening.
And
this was a war of inches.
And and so many people died. Leading up to 11 o'clock, because it was supposed to be 11 o'clock in the morning on the 11th day of the 11th month.
Yeah, this takes place over 4 days. That's new.
Yeah, well, no,
and,
it takes place over a few months.
Well, because the bulk of the story takes place in the last few days of the war.
Right.
Because Baron Zemo was trying to.
Well, that's because one of his son was one of Paul's friends. The first one that got killed, he was with the glasses.
Yeah.
I really liked it. I liked the kind of. It's decidedly updated in terms of storytelling.
Yeah.
And filmmaking, like this story would not have flown 100 years ago, or 90 years ago.
That would have been, no, it was 100 years ago.
Oh, 1930.
1930, okay.
Close. Yeah. But And I don't think Milestone's version would play if made as a contemporary story with that tone and going all the way through. I don't think it would be accepted.
Well, my problem is the idea of the whole idea of trying to throw humanity is cemented when Paul kills that French soldier.
Yeah.
And he's doing every single thing he can to keep this man alive. And he's clearly dead.
Yeah.
That, to me, is the story in a nutshell. You are trying to find a small, tiny piece of humanity in a world that is blowing itself to bits. And that to me, is the story. And then he himself becomes a casualty.
Yeah.
You know, bullets don't care.
Right.
Bullets don't, you know, they don't. There's not a bullet with your name on it. Bullets have everybody's name on it.
Bullets don't care which way you vote.
Right. But let's move on to our next film,
which is joyous. Oh.
This is Avatar: The Way of Water. This I did not expect.
Oh, I loved this so much.
Let me tell you something. And I'm really glad of this, because in a day, in the days now of just shortchanging, it's wonderful to still have a pure filmmaker.
Yeah.
James Cameron, every movie he makes, of course, the man cannot make a movie for under $300 million.
Apparently.
And every dollar is on the screen.
Right. And it's already cleared well over $1 billion.
For 3 more.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And it's cleared for 3 more.
Mm-hmm. Actually, I think they already shot most of 3. I think 3 is actually in post-production. They've shot 2 and 3 simultaneously. And that's going to come out, I think, in 2024.
Yeah.
And then 4 is supposed to come out in 2026.
Well, this is every bit a sequel.
Yeah. But but you don't really need the first one, because they go back over it enough.
Oh, by the way, it helps to watch the first one before you watch this one. And it helps to revisit it.
Yeah.
Because the first 10 minutes I kind of got lost, because I had not seen Avatar since 2009.
Oh, we actually just rewatched it just before we went the first time.
Well,
we've actually seen this twice.
I went to see it on Monday. We're recording this on Thursday. I went to see this on Monday, and it was literally a spur of the moment thing. It's like, well, I'll go see Avatar tonight. It was that. And I got there, and the funny thing is, I was actually less interested in the movie than in my seat, because the theater that I go to, I haven't been back to that theater in probably a year, have replaced the seats with those recliners, you know, with the thing that goes, the thing that goes. And I was sitting there, and I was like, I took my shoes off and put them in the seat next to me, and I didn't put my shoes on for the next 3 hours. I was so comfortable. And I'm sitting there watching the movie, and I'm like, yeah, I like this. And, well, I'll tell you about this movie. I sat there and I thought, first of all, you know, like I say, it's every bit of a $300 million movie. I mean, it's all on the screen. Every piece, everything that he did.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful. I don't think I needed 3 hours of it, but because
I'll tell you what,
it's a little repetitious.
I'll go ahead and disagree with you.
I know.
Because
I figured you would.
I I really love world building, and
I did too.
And
I did too.
the way that he has done, especially these two movies, you don't need a lot of exposition because the whole thing is kind of telling you about what's going on. So they don't have to fill you in because you're experiencing it with Jake.
You are.
And in this one, you get to spend a lot of time with their kids.
Yeah.
More time. I believe there's a rumor going around that number 3 is going to be Jake Sully's last one, and we're going to start following the kids for 4 and 5.
Well, what I wanted them to do for this one, what I was really hoping they would do, is get rid of the humans. Just get them out of the story.
See,
we've already done that.
We didn't really need them there because just learning about the water and everything was fascinating enough for
That's
me.
your story.
Yeah, that was fascinating.
It's a Disney movie. It's a Disney movie at that point. You know, you're meeting another tribe, and there's a tribal leader, and there's a successor, and there's a point. They live.
They could have
nature.
They could have had the drama between them without the humans. On the other hand, they wouldn't have had an actual reason to go there if the humans hadn't come back.
I really honestly could have done without Stephen Lang. He was in the first one. That's fine.
Yeah, but he died in the first one, and they're like, "Oh, let's find a way to bring him back." It's like, why? Yeah. His character ran its whole thing, and so I didn't like that they brought him back, and I don't understand where his son came from.
I don't either, and I'll tell you,
he would have been a baby. So who was his wife on Pandora with him, or did he knock up a soldier? Or
there's a development at the end of this film. Spoiler alert. That only happens because there's going to be a third one.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there going, okay, this makes no logical sense to the larger story. It doesn't make any sense unless you're just setting it up for a third one.
Right. The end was definitely a setup for the third one.
But it didn't feel earned to me.
Yeah.
But my thing is just get those characters out of the story. We're done with that.
Right. And
you want to build this world.
Yeah. And I don't know, maybe have something change on Earth, that this corporation, now that they got sent home with their tail between their legs, kind of loses power. Right. And then there's an actual, diplomatic delegation that gets sent, and Jake is one of the brokers, and they get all of the different tribes, the water people, the air people, the forest people, whoever they have, the different tribes, and work out some sort of a negotiation, a peace, which could then fall apart, and then battle happens.
Right.
Because inevitably that would happen. Because humans can't stop shooting things.
This is $1 billion cast too. This is because I'm sitting there at the end of the movie. This happened. I'm sitting there at the end of the movie, and they're showing the names of the actors. I'm like, oh, Sam Worthington, okay, Sigourney Weaver, Stephen Lang, Kate Winslet. Kate Winslet.
Yeah.
What the hell was she?
She was
the pregnant wife.
Right. I
had to look that up.
The sea chieftain's wife, and
This movie is whale porn. Honestly, it is.
Well, except for the part where they murder one.
Well, you know what I'm talking about. I mean, it's it's there are a lot of uber whales in this, and that's okay.
Yeah,
that's okay because it's world building.
And it I loved this. I was surprised that I loved this as much as I was surprised that I loved the first one.
I'm gonna say that I would not. Even though I did have issues with it, I would not have missed this in a theater for anything.
Oh yeah, no. This
is a movie experience.
2 times we saw it were in IMAX 3D.
Yeah, I didn't see it in IMAX 3D, oof. But I did see it in a really comfortable chair with my popcorn, with my orange drink, and I'm sitting there, and I'm just like, okay, this is going to the movies.
Yeah.
You know, and I was enjoying it.
Next up is a movie I'm glad I didn't pay for.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm equally glad. I am equally glad that Tom Hanks didn't get nominated for the Colonel, because I was calling that. I assumed he would get a nomination for Best Supporting Actor.
Our next film is Elvis. No, he would not have been nominated for Best Supporting Actor.
Do you think they would have tried to push him into the lead actor?
I know they would.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's the mayor of Hollywood.
Well.
And I did not like this movie.
I didn't either.
It is a headache. It is... I don't know what Baz Luhrmann is trying to prove with this. I don't know what in the world. The weird thing is, before this movie came out, and not because of that, you and I did an episode on this documentary, Elvis the Searcher, which essentially tells you everything you ever wanted to know about Elvis. Go watch that. Because this doesn't tell you anything. If you don't know anything about Elvis, you're not going to really know anything.
No. And
his impact on culture, his impact on American culture is not in this movie.
No. And oh my God, I hope Austin Butler does not win.
He tried. He really did.
He did.
You know what?
But he
looks like an impersonator.
The problem that I have with his performance in Elvis is the same problem that I had with Ana de Armas in Blonde,
which I haven't seen yet.
Consider yourself very lucky.
I still have it in the future.
Well, I will never forget it. It was, oh man. But all these two could do is their best celebrity impression.
Yeah.
Neither one of them actually got into the person.
No.
They just played the archetype.
They played the notes.
Right.
Because I can't stand it when you have a biopic that is just red letter. There's just red letter moments. I hate that.
Yeah.
Because you're not giving me a person. What drives me nuts is Baz Luhrmann, and this is his template. He moves so fast, and he pushes, and it's like all of a sudden Elvis is on the hayride. Is part of the hayride shows. Okay, well right. Now he's on Steve Allen. Okay, well now he's on Ed Sullivan. Okay, well now he's in the Army. Okay, well now he's. It's like slow down. Slow down.
Yeah, and it's not
because you're shoving through this man's life.
And it's not like it was a short movie.
Yeah, it's not.
Oh, it is not.
And Tom Hanks. Why do you have Colonel Parker telling this story?
God, because Tom Hanks is playing Colonel Parker.
Why is he? I hated this movie.
I did not enjoy it at all.
I don't enjoy Baz Luhrmann.
I don't either. I loved Strictly Ballroom.
Yeah,
and that
was a good film.
That is the last time I liked him, and that was his first film.
I started getting annoyed with him with Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah.
And he's annoyed me ever since.
Yeah.
I wanted to like The Great Gatsby.
Moulin Rouge. I remember it inducing a migraine.
Yeah.
It
was only there because Nicole Kidman was pretty and Ewan McGregor photographs well.
Yeah.
But
now,
this movie...
Did you see Gatsby in the theater?
Yes.
Oh. So did I. I liked it to a point.
I just... he's not a storyteller.
No.
He needs somebody to give his film focus.
He's a showman.
He's a showman.
And that's all.
If you're going to make a musical, just make a musical.
Yeah. But Elvis was just...
Watch Elvis the Searcher.
Yeah.
And watch Elvis Presley the Searcher. That's a way better way to experience Elvis. The Comeback Special is a great way to experience Elvis. This is not it. This is a bad TV movie. Austin Butler does not look like Elvis. I never thought I was looking at the real thing.
No.
And I was the makeup nominated?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
I'll tell you what, there's two makeup ones that
It was.
Of course it was.
It was.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, the one that I want to win makeup and hairstyling, either the Whale or the Batman, because the Colin Farrell makeup to make him into the Penguin is stunning, because there's no way to know that is Colin Farrell, who is nominated for...
It'll be Elvis if All Quiet on the Western Front doesn't sweep. It's kind of a toss-up. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure on this one. But let's move on to a much happier film.
Oh, you're definitely not going in real alphabetical order, because we skipped the Banshees of Inisherin if we want.
Oh, we skipped the Banshees of Inisherin, didn't we? Yeah, I haven't listed in alphabetical order. Sorry about that, folks. My apologies. We're talking about the Banshees of Inisherin.
Then we'll talk about Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Right. Sorry about that, folks.
This is not happy.
No.
I liked this a lot more than you did, but I disliked the same parts that you did.
Okay, let me tell you the part that got up my ass.
Was it when he took off his thumb?
Bear with me. I know this is on a lot of people's 10 best list. It's not on mine. When I started watching this, I was taking down the Christmas tree. And I was talking to Doug through text. The first hour, I said, reminded me of some of the films that John Ford used to make. That being
The Quiet Man,
The Quiet Man, How Green Was My Valley, The Informer, films with a very Irish flavor, and a very community feeling. You're in a small Irish village. And Colin Farrell, who does give a beautiful performance,
Yes.
gets his heart broken. It's a breakup story. Because his buddy, Brendan Gleeson, Mad Eye Moody, has stopped talking to him. And when he spends several days being frustrated, why won't he talk to me? And then Brendan Gleeson tells him, and he has a very good, legitimate reason. It's because he's a musician, and he doesn't have time to work on the music that he wants to leave behind, because he's spending all of his time with Colin Farrell. It's a very good reason. But not enough to break your friend's heart.
Yeah, I don't think it was a very good...
But
I don't
get
think it was
his...
good enough
I understand.
I think he could have... I think he could have done that a little bit more managing. He could have managed his time a little bit differently.
I understand his reasoning. I don't agree with it.
Yeah, okay.
Because he says, I'm an old man. Time is running out. His method of doing this is all wrong.
Right.
You don't throw your best friend out of your life.
Right. So he's basically, because he says he's dull. Mm-hmm. And he's...
all they do is drink.
Podrick is not the sharpest tool knife in the drawer.
Right. This is the most sensitive performance I think I've ever seen him give.
Yeah. And I've always felt he was a very talented actor, but this was probably like his best.
It is. From both of them.
Yeah.
Both of them are really good.
Colm says to Podrick,
because he keeps trying to patch it up.
Right, he keeps trying to go back and say, like, come on. And he says, leave me alone, and if you don't, I'll cut off a finger every time you
leave it on your doorstep.
Annoy me. And
he does.
He goes to his house, and Colm cuts off his thumb and
leaves it in the planter next to his door.
Throws it at the door, right? And you think, okay, Podrick's gonna figure out that he's serious. Podrick wants even more to patch this up so that his friend doesn't maim himself anymore.
Right.
Because he's like, there's no way he's going to keep doing this.
And he does.
And he does, even though, I love it, Podrick says to him flat out, if you do that, you won't be able to play your fiddle. What's the point then? And he's like, yeah, you're right.
Just what I kept saying.
And then he goes, and his Podrick's sister goes over to say, please just, you understand, you know him, please just don't. And he goes, well, maybe I'll cut off all of them next time. And then he just cuts off all 4 of them, throws them at the door, and Podrick still doesn't stop.
And we get a nice little shot of him walking away from his house with the meat dangling from his hand.
Yes.
This man should be on the ground screaming and howling, mad with pain. The first time he did that, the story lost me. I thought this was an extreme gesture that didn't need to happen, but then when he cut them all off, I was done. The story was like, I don't know what the story is trying to say. I was with it when it was dealing with these two characters on human terms. But when he starts chopping his fingers off, I had no idea what, because I can't follow that. I don't know, because I like I said when I was talking about his reasoning that he wants music that's going to last for 300 years, and he needs time to be able to develop it, but he can't because he's spending all his time with Padraig. I get that. But then he chops his fingers off, and in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, now he can't make music.
He can still write it.
But
I guess.
Just the whole chopping the fingers off. I can't.
It doesn't. It is.
It makes no sense to me.
No, I mean it's an extreme reaction, but from
damn right.
For me, I think it just it illustrates the severity of Colm. Like
I just don't think it was severe enough for that.
The situation wasn't.
I like what you said in our year-end
is.
show. I like what you said at our year-end show. Suddenly it became a Martin McDonagh film.
Yeah, suddenly it's a Martin McDonagh film. All of a sudden.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand the criticisms of it. You
understand where I stand with
absolutely. I took that as like a forceful representation of who Colm is. Like, he doesn't make idle threats.
Yeah.
And I think the only reason he did it was because he said he'd do it, and he didn't expect Padraig to come back around. And he felt like he had to live up to that if he was ever going to get the peace that he wanted.
I just thought that I'm more human. Because the first hour of this movie is so human and so real, and you feel it. You feel his heartbreak, and you feel what Colm is trying to do. And then this happens, and it's just it completely threw me out of it.
I got that,
and I was done with it. When he started throwing all four the other four fingers at the door, I was like, okay, I don't know where the story is. I don't know where the character's head's at. I'm out of it.
Yeah, I can see
that's just where I was.
Well, let's move on to something that was honestly joyful.
A little more agreeable.
My favorite movie of the year.
Everything,
everywhere,
all at once.
That
title's a mouthful, by the way.
The multiverse movie of 2022. Suck it, Doctor Strange.
This is the movie Multiverse of Madness. This is a movie Multiverse of Madness should have been.
Suck it, Doctor Strange. You didn't do it right.
Yeah.
This thing is freaking amazing. I loved every minute of this. Michelle Yeoh's performance is multi-layered. It is contextual. It is real.
So is everybody to cast.
Oh,
everybody has a motive here.
Absolutely.
Everybody has something to do.
This is and
if she wins the Oscar, I'll be very happy.
I think she's going to.
I think she's going to.
And I think Ke Huy Quan. There's no possible way he will lose.
There's no possible way he's going to lose.
So and Jamie Lee Curtis finally has an Oscar nomination.
Ke Huy Quan will have one more Oscar than Harrison Ford.
I'll
put that out there.
His Temple of Doom. But he tied with amounts of nominations.
Mm-hmm. It's.
But
I when I first saw it, I said to you, it's a little much.
Yeah.
And it is. It's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. But I will say this: I was thinking about it, and I thought, okay, I have been saying for years, probably since before COVID, I want Hollywood, I want filmmakers to get back to making movies that aren't tied to anything, that aren't sequels to anything. We got 2 sequels on this list.
Yeah.
That aren't building a universe. They're not opening a door. They're not based on a property.
There's not going to be a sequel.
It's just original and new and different, and they put their heart into it.
Damn it! If
this is that
yes,
movie.
It is. Yes, it is.
Because this is exactly what I wanted.
I will be so happy if when this wins Best Picture.
This may win Best Picture. This may very well win Best Picture.
I think it might. I think it's going to take a lot more than people may have expected initially. And I am there for it. I loved every second of this. I loved it when the Ke Huy Quan character shifts into the more knowledgeable, not
the multiverse
one, not the milquetoast from that universe, and he just snaps back out of it, and you go to these different realities, and there's one where everybody has hot dogs for fingers. There's one where they're just rocks.
That was my favorite.
Oh,
they're
rocks.
Just sitting out in the desert, and they're just rocks, and there's subtitles.
Yes, and
she learns how to move around. What are you doing?
Yeah. I'm moving. It's like, no, that's not the point. You shouldn't be doing that. What are you doing? I love this movie.
I just love I love the rocks because there's no. This is a very sound is all over this movie.
Oh yeah, I would love it if this got sound design.
All of a sudden, it's just silent. And there are these 2 rocks, and they're talking to each other with subtitles. It's just great. I love that.
Yeah,
it is a very busy film. It's a very busy film. If you miss any part of it, you're going to be lost. You do have to pay attention.
You do. But
and Michelle Yeoh has been terrific for years,
decades,
but has never been this good.
No,
never been this good. She's going to win the Oscar for this.
She has had a major career uptick.
Yes, she has.
Specifically, I think because of her getting cast in Star Trek on Discovery.
Yeah.
She's getting her own spin-off show. She's going to be in Section 31. She's getting her own show.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yep. She started. It's like we all noticed her the first time over here in the States. She was a Bond girl.
Oh yeah.
And then it was Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Yeah.
And then Star Trek, and then this.
Yeah.
So she's an actress that does not go away. But the one person I want to talk about in this is Jamie Lee Curtis.
Oh my God, how amazing is her performance here?
Her performance is wonderful, but the thing is, ever since Halloween, she has just been consistently good.
Yeah.
She can liven even a dead movie.
Yeah.
I mean,
you mean like Halloween Ends?
Halloween Ends, yeah. She's made some duds in her career, but she's been consistently working. She's second generation actor.
Yep. From both parents.
I even remember the early '80s in her topless phase.
Yeah,
we all remember that.
Yeah. Well, that lasted until the almost mid-90s, because I think the last time she went topless was True Lies.
She said later, she said, "Oh, I have kids now," and I'm like, "Oh God."
Well,
she was not shy.
Look on the bright side.
But she is such a good actor, though.
She is. She's always been, but I mean,
I loved her Knives Out.
Oh, yes. Oh, that I would have loved to see get more nominations.
Yeah.
The first one, honestly, I would have loved for the sequel to have gotten more nominations.
Yeah.
Have you gotten to see it yet?
I haven't yet. No.
Make time for that, because wow, is it fun. And if I weren't pulling so hard for Everything Everywhere All at Once, I would be pulling for Glass Onion to be best adapted screenplay. Oh wait, no, that's adapted. I can still root for it. Yay!
In the interest of my budget, I had to give up Netflix a couple of months ago. But I realized when I got back around to the Oscars, it's like so much stuff comes from Netflix. I was like, okay, well, I've got to go back and get Netflix again.
And they were weird with the screeners that they sent this year.
Yeah, last year they were sent us big boxes of stuff.
Right, and this year they sent us 2 big boxes. One of them was Pinocchio.
The Glass Onion.
And then they sent Glass Onion with a whole lot of merch and not the movie.
And no movie.
I didn't get the movie.
That sucked.
We got that box within the first week or 2 of getting screeners.
Right. And our screeners season starts usually around October, November.
I finally got the disc for Glass Onion after it hit Netflix.
Yeah.
You never got the disc.
Never got the disc.
Stunning.
But I have Netflix to back now, so I can watch it.
I recommend it.
But
Everything Everywhere All at Once is just magnificent.
It's a heck of a lot of fun.
Oh God, and it's so well put together. Like it's not sloppy, because a movie this complicated can't be sloppy if you're going to understand any part of it. And I don't think that it's that difficult to follow. It's just, it's a little difficult to retain.
It is
from
if you miss part of it.
Yeah, well, but that was my favorite movie of the year. Absolutely, hands down.
Well, can I bring up a point of order, Your Honor, if I may?
Overruled.
And I don't mean to complain, and I'm not talking about just this movie. This was the year of the 2.5 hour to 3 hour movies.
Oh boy, howdy, yeah. Oh man.
And many of them did not deserve it.
Oh, Avatar.
I liked Avatar the Way of Water. I didn't need 3 hours of it. I really did.
I was very happy with the 3 hours and 12 minutes. We didn't need 2.5 hours of Elvis.
I didn't need an hour of Elvis.
I didn't either. All Quiet on the Western Front, I think, was only about 15 minutes longer than the 1930 version.
2 hours and 23 minutes.
Right, and the original is 2 hours and 10 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
Banshees of Inisherin
all
was
of
2
these
hours.
movies that I'm watching. All these movies I'm watching, I'm looking at the time code, and it's like 2.5 to 3 hours. I'm like, geez.
Banshees was 2 hours.
Whether they need it or not.
But wasn't Fableman's about 2.5?
Something like that.
Top Gun Maverick was 2.5. Triangle of Sadness was about 7. I liked Triangle of Sadness, so we'll get to it. But Tar was
next up is
Tar was 2.5. Women Talking was only like 95 minutes. That
what does that tell you?
Brief. That was nice.
Okay, so next up is the Steven Spielberg movie.
The obligatory Spielberg nomination.
The Steven Spielberg story is basically what it is. It's called The Fablemans.
And I'll tell you what, this is his best movie since Lincoln.
It is. It is.
This is...
It's Jews in Arizona.
Well...
Because, I mean, that's what his family was.
Right.
They moved to Arizona.
You know...
I
really enjoyed this.
I did too. It's a sweet, buttery little. It's a sweet, buttery little film.
But not too sweet. There's
not too sweet. Well, I mean, it's family drama,
right.
but it's not so saccharine that you can't enjoy it.
Right. It's not. Always.
It's very, 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 very much a Spielberg movie.
I mean, it's not always or his Twilight Zone movie segment. You know, it's not that sweet.
This is closer to the temple. This is closer to the tone of E.T.
Yes.
In that you have a family that's a little bit nuts and is also a little bit broken.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot that goes on. He basically, because I didn't know much about this movie, but when it opened with a little boy going to his first movie, and it's great, it's the greatest show on earth. I'm like, yeah, okay, I know exactly what this is. Like, okay, yeah, just call him Steven,
right,
okay, because that's everybody knows. Yeah. That's the first movie he went to see. And that's the movie that introduced him to the Magica movies and made him want to be a filmmaker and all this. It creates such an interesting family here.
Yes.
Michelle Williams is essentially playing Lee Adler. She is essentially his mother.
Yeah.
Right down to the haircut. I hate... If there were any justice in this world, Paul Dano would have gotten an Oscar nomination.
Yes, I don't really know why
and he didn't. I don't know why. I don't know why they picked the goofy uncle instead.
Yeah.
I don't know why they picked the goofy uncle instead. He's not in the movie that long, and he doesn't really have that much impact on the story.
No, but I mean, I guess it's. I guess they were like, well, I guess Judd Hirsch should get nominated for something eventually.
Yeah.
But no, I think Paul Dano should have.
He should have been where Judd Hirsch is now.
Exactly. Yeah.
But this is I like stories about very specific people. The kid is, and boy is this on the nose. He has a movie camera, and he's filming his family on vacation. And he notices that mom is getting a little affectionate with his dad's business partner. And it causes fractures in the family. A fracture between it fractures in his relationship with his mother.
And filmmaking.
And filmmaking. But it's interesting that that's how he finds out.
Right.
And I thought, wow, that's on the nose. Because the camera doesn't lie.
Right.
Picture speaks 1,000 words.
But yeah, the Fablemans was a sweet movie. I'm glad it's here. I don't know that Stevie should have been up for director.
Well, I'll tell you this. I'll take this over West Side Story.
Oh, yes.
You know,
I agree.
I want to say I love the end of this movie.
How could you not?
Oh my God!
Love David Lynch
playing John
Ford.
The end of this has the best ending of any movie I saw this year.
That was amazing. That was one of the single best moments in a movie that I've seen this year. I agree.
Yeah. Okay. Very sweet movie. So our next movie, what is our next movie?
Maverick.
I got Maverick, the other blockbuster. Here's the weird thing, and I said this before. the people who really liked this movie, the people who really loved this movie, are generally, I've noticed, the ones who saw it in the theater.
You're absolutely correct, because I saw this on Paramount Plus, and
yeah,
I liked it. It took a really, really long time for me to get into it.
Yeah.
I was taken aback to the point of confusion when it opened on an aircraft carrier and Kenny Loggins was singing Highway to the Danger Zone. I had to make sure that I wasn't watching the original, because it is the same footage.
It's K-Log all over again.
And then there's Kenny Loggins, and I said, "Is it 2022?
Mm-hmm.
Is a movie opening with Kenny Loggins?"
Doesn't it open with the same text?
It opens with everything the same. Like, I was ragging on this so hard for like the first 45 minutes.
You have to stop the movie and go back to the screen. Did I hit the wrong?
I did. I actually stopped it and made sure that I was on Maverick and that I didn't accidentally hit Top Gun.
Yeah.
So,
because you know, Paramount Plus is gonna be shoving that at you.
Oh yeah,
and watch the first one.
So, I'm there through it, and I was like rewriting it, because of like, if they would have done this more with this character and done this and that, eventually they did sort of what I was kind of hoping for with the Miles Teller character and the Goose's son and Maverick.
I could have used Meg Ryan, but
they just murdered.
Look, if you can give me a cameo by Val Kilmer, you can give me a cameo by Meg Ryan.
Val Kilmer, who lost his ability to speak because of cancer.
Right.
Has lines. He has actual lines, and they couldn't get Meg Ryan? Come on.
Yeah, really.
Come on. And not only that, but they didn't bring back, what was his who was he? What was his love interest, the psychiatrist?
Oh, Kelly McGillis.
Kelly McGillis. I was going to say that, but I wasn't sure if that was right. Kelly McGillis. She's not dead, right?
She's not. No, she's alive. She's not even mentioned.
Because they invent.
At least Meg Ryan is mentioned.
They invent an entirely new character for him to have a backstory with. That if this was part 3 instead of part 2, we probably would have seen him and Jennifer Connelly doing whatever they were doing.
Who is at least 20 years younger than him.
Right, and they're supposed to be like the same age. Like, I don't.
Well, let me tell you where I am with this, because this is important. I saw this in the summer. And I realized I've lost something very valuable to me. I've lost my summer movie season.
Yeah.
And I've lost that joy of week after week you go to see a blockbuster in the summer. Mm-hmm. The big movies come out. And I realized that's gone. And Top Gun was the joy that I had lost. Because this was a holdover. This was supposed to be out, I think, 2 years ago.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this has been completed. I think it was originally, it was supposed to come out in 2020.
And the idea that, and that all of the talk that we have, that we're losing our temple. The movie theater. There's all this talk about this movie theater idea going away.
I don't think it will.
I don't think it will, but it gave me this sense of why I go to the movies.
Yeah, the same
to see a movie with a big star,
right?
With special effects.
Yeah,
with all the bric-a-brac and sound effects and visual effects and a really cool story that's not all that complicated.
And I'll tell you what, the first movie that I saw in the theater since March of 2020 was Black Panther: Wakanda Forever.
Mm.
And then Avatar twice.
Yeah.
and yes, you understand what you're missing.
You understand what you're missing, especially when you see it in the theater. Story is this story is A New Hope.
Basically, yes.
It's Star Wars, basically. You know,
so I was
you've
sitting
got
there
to
watching
get...
it. I'm like, this would have made a pretty good Star Wars movie, and you wouldn't have even really had to change much of the dialogue.
It's Star Wars, not droids and Jawas.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
I like what they do with the character of Maverick. Is that they he's not been promoted because he's still a jerk.
Yeah.
And he never grew up. The fact that he and I like that about that was the character we left.
Yeah.
If he had been an admiral, if he had gone where Iceman went, it wouldn't have worked. He's still a jerk. He's getting older, and he's still being held back, but doing the thing that he loves to do.
Right. He's still reckless. There are a few parts in this that I actually really genuinely enjoyed. When he,
I enjoyed all of it.
I didn't hate it, and looking back on it after I went through it, it is a good movie. I don't know that I would have put it at Best Picture, but it's a good movie.
Which brings me to my only down point. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, go ahead.
The only thing that I probably did not like about this movie, other than the exiting of Meg Ryan. Why am I talking about this for Best Picture?
Yes. I mean,
it's a good movie, but not for an Oscar for Best Picture.
Do you realize that there are a lot of people who are surprised that Tom Cruise didn't get nominated for Best Actor for this? I mean, I'll grant it's not a strong year for Best Actor.
No, it's not.
But
this is the year when we're looking at Austin Butler for Elvis.
I am still very hopeful that either Brendan Fraser or Colin Farrell will win.
I'm thinking Colin Farrell.
I think if anybody but Austin Butler wins, it'll be Colin Farrell.
Yeah.
Although I wouldn't mind seeing Paul Mescal win. Aftersun was freaking great. That was a really good movie.
This is a spot where Pinocchio should have been.
Yes. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Or my two favorites, Happening and Vortex. Those two films, some of my favorite films, should have been here. But Pinocchio should have been here.
Yeah.
This film was brilliant.
Yeah.
I just...
I mean, it was fine.
Okay. Let's move on to a movie that is far more complicated. Let's talk about Triangle of Sadness.
Wait, why is Tar not before Top Gun?
Tar. I wrote these in alphabetical.
No,
I'm sorry.
I'm looking at them on IMDb, and they're in alphabetical order. But the problem is they think T in the is...
They let the computer do the alphabetizing.
And I guess because there's an accent over the A, it goes behind Top Gun and Triangle of Sadness.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about Triangle of Sadness since we're here.
Okay.
Let's get it out of the way.
Look,
I don't get it.
This...
I really don't.
I liked this. I laughed out loud in some parts.
But in the same year as Decision to Leave.
I know, right?
And Pinocchio.
And RRR. And
Uh-huh.
virtually anything else. I'm sorry.
This is a nice,
It's a
cute
good movie, and it's a funny movie. And there are some genuinely uproarious parts for me. There were.
But Best Picture?
But and Best Director?
Yeah.
Best Original Screenplay?
This is about a group of people who get on board, a group of very pompous assholes who get on board a cruise ship, all with their various problems and eccentricities and whatever. And as their cruise goes on, as the things go on, it gets more and more and more surreal. Basically, it starts out as a Netflix show.
Yeah.
Then it becomes a Fellini film.
Uh-huh.
Then it becomes Luis Buñuel.
Uh-huh.
And then it becomes Monty Python.
Uh-huh.
And I'm not really all that impressed by any of it.
Well, this director...
I was just kind of irritated by a lot of it.
This director is
not Fellini, is not Buñuel.
No. So he's kind of a, I don't know, I'd say maybe provocateur.
You know, when some directors will say, okay, I made this film for the critics. I made this film for the Oscar. This one I just made for myself. That's what this feels like. This feels like he just made it for himself.
Well, and he may have.
He may have. I don't know.
This is the guy that he wrote and directed Force Majeure. Which is wonderful. He wrote and directed The Square. From 2017. Did you?
Which I didn't see. I didn't see The Square. I did see Force Majeure. I didn't see Square.
The Square is... The Square is... It's very odd. I can't really do too much with it. It's a very... I didn't really... I wasn't able to follow a lot of that one. It's kind of, but he's known for being very unforgiving of the upper class.
Yeah.
But like you said, he ain't Buñuel.
What was the movie we were watching where they couldn't get out of the house?
The Exterminating Angel.
That's what this reminded me of, and I'm thinking, okay, you ain't been well.
Yeah.
It begins with a very, very funny opening scene in which
the male models,
these two people are sitting at a table. This very beautiful man and this very gorgeous woman, and they both work as models. He calls her on the carpet because she didn't pick up the check. And apparently they have some kind of agreement of, equality in the relationship. And he keeps paying for everything despite the fact she makes more money.
She's more successful than him, yeah.
And what's funny about it is that it keeps going.
He does not let it go.
The conversation just keeps going. It's like he doesn't let it go. They go back to their hotel room and they're still talking about it.
And he's like, it's not about the money. It's about the fact that you invited me to dinner. The implication is you're going to pay.
You're going to pay.
And you didn't.
Right. But the conversation goes on and on and on, and you're thinking, dude, let it go, and he doesn't.
No, he doesn't. And
he makes a point. He probably makes a good point, but at some point he's got to just say, let it go. Yeah. She wants to have sex, and he's still talking about it. That to me was the funniest part of this movie. Is that he just
the funniest part of the movie for me was after the captain's dinner. When everything turns...
Oh, when the storm hits?
Yes, and it becomes a very long, hilarious, disgusting Mr. Creosote sketch.
I do like, though...
When the woman kept, like, tossing back and forth in the bathroom, in the water, and she's throwing up, and she skids across the floor, sits up right at the toilet, and throws up into the toilet. It was like perfectly timed. I was laughing. That's actually where the movie turned for me, that I actually started to enjoy it.
I really enjoyed, before that, this ongoing thing where the staff cannot get this man out of his stateroom.
And it's Woody Harrelson. He's the captain.
And he's the captain. They go to dinner, and they're sitting there, and they're at the captain's table, and everybody has these weird, fancy dishes. Somebody's eating snails, and somebody's eating...
It's like this
and
whole...
he gets McDonald's.
Yeah, he's got a burger and fries. He's like, yeah,
he's got McDonald's.
I never went in for that fancy dining and all that.
Yeah.
I love the I love the concept of the back and forth between Woody Harrelson's captain and the Russian businessman.
Yeah.
The
communist.
The socialist versus the capitalist.
Yeah.
And the capitalist is the Russian.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He sells fertilizer. Yeah. He's the king of shit.
That is exactly what he said. I'm the king of shit.
The movie really started to win me over, and
my problem is it really doesn't come to anything.
It starts nowhere, it goes nowhere. Mm-hmm. It winds up it's
very Python-like.
No one changes. No one learns a lesson, even though several people die.
Yeah.
Nobody.
The guys
learns
from Monty Python could have written this movie in their sleep.
Oh, yeah. But
it's not a movie I would have nominated for Best Picture. Not even close.
Me either. I wanted to see it because I'd seen it on a lot of top 10 lists, but it felt like one of those kind of independent movies that that people were going to bitch about not getting a nomination.
Yeah.
But here it is.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what belongs here.
My favorite movie of the year.
Yeah.
Here we are at Tar.
Was Lydia Tar real?
No.
I didn't think so.
No. This is a movie that reminds you of the times you're living in. Because it is a movie in which you realize that the era of genius artists getting away with murder is over.
Yeah. Although you know what else could have been here? Could have been in this spot that also sent that message.
What's that?
She
said. Yeah.
Which got
Did they get nominated
nothing.
for that? They didn't get nominated for anything. Wow.
Anything.
Not even the screenplay.
Not even the
Not even adapted
not
screenplay.
Not the screenplay. Not Carey Mulligan. Nothing.
Nothing. Certainly not the director. But Tar is
well, it was
very
a woman,
much.
Of course not.
It's the Todd Fieldiest movie I think I've ever seen.
It is the Todd Fieldiest.
What's amazing? What's amazing is that he creates this fictional genius. She is one of the world's leading composers, male or female.
Yeah.
And it opens with a sort of almost like inside the actor studio kind of thing with a real life New Yorker journalist, Adam Gopnik. Mm-hmm. And he's talking to her and he's listing all of her accomplishments. and you realize this is all fiction, but it sounds real.
Yeah.
So you're looking it up on your phone, and you're like, okay, is this a real person? No. He's done so much research and so much writing to build this character, this woman who's a world-renowned genius.
I gotta say, man, Todd Field is. I'm glad he's being appreciated.
I get excited when he makes a movie.
He makes damn good movies.
Yeah.
What was it? In the Bedroom, which got Marissa Tomei her Oscar.
Oh, that's one of those movies I can't watch a second time.
I have only ever seen it once. I owned it. I don't think I ever watched the DVD. And I think I
can't watch it.
I think I sold it. I think I sold it before I ever watched it.
It's a great film.
It is. It's magnificent.
It's a great film. It's just too much.
Little Children. I'm stunned he didn't get an Oscar for the screenplay for Little Children. Because
I think Kate Blanchett is his muse.
Kate Blanchett, Kate Winslet was in that though.
It's Kate Winslet. No, I was seeing Kate Blanchett in the Bob Dylan film.
Oh, that's not Todd Field. That's Todd Haynes.
Is that Todd? Oh, Todd Haynes. All right. Well, I feel sheepish.
All right, you bad boy. Sorry.
All right. But she plays a woman who is the best of the best of the best of the best. She is world renowned. She's living in Germany with her wife and her daughter, who she loves. I think she loves the daughter more than the wife. And the wife is first chair. And
so she's like basically the assistant conductor.
Right. And I so appreciated when she was in that classroom and she took that kid to task. Because the kid is narrow-minded enough to, she mentions a lot of these great composers, well, they're white and they're patriarchal. Why should I care about them? And her argument is, why should you narrow your focus just because you can't relate to them? And it's a brilliant deconstruction of his narrow view of these composers,
which later gets re-edited into something that is
later, unfortunately,
very not flattering for her,
and destroys her career.
Yeah.
Two things happen:
the suicide of a girl she groomed,
and the suicide of a girl she groomed. Yeah. And she keeps trying to move past it.
Yeah.
But she can't.
Well, nobody will. The world won't let her.
Right.
She's just trying to be like, okay, forget about it. Don't delete all these emails to get do whatever.
Yeah. That's her first response.
Yeah. Just cover it up. It didn't happen. Whatever.
And it destroys her career because we can't. We're living in a time when people do terrible things. We call them to task. And we don't let genius get away with it anymore. Bill Cosby is a genius, but we don't let him get away with it anymore.
Nope.
Woody Allen is a genius, but we don't let him get away with it anymore. Their careers are destroyed by bad behavior. Mm-hmm. And that's what happens to her. Mm-hmm. And she does a terrible thing. And she pays a price for it.
Yeah.
The end of this movie is probably one of the biggest tragedies I've ever seen. She's doing music for a video game.
Yeah.
I've seen this movie 3 times.
Oh, wow.
And I'm not anywhere near the bottom of it because there's just, every time I see it, there's something else that every time I see it, there's something else really that grabs onto me. I want to go back and see this in 5-10 years.
Oh, yeah.
To see where I am at that point. But Kate Blanchett I think Michelle Yeoh's going to win the Oscar. I won't complain if Kate Blanchett wins the Oscar for this.
No. The only way I look at it is Kate Blanchett will be nominated again and again and again in the probably next year and the year after and the year after that.
She's got 3 more coming.
I think this is Michelle Yeoh's only shot.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to be that generous with her ever again.
The reason I picked this for best pick for my number 1 film of the year is because it's one of those character pieces where you get your feet into it and you forget where you are for 2.5 hours because this character is so interesting. What happens to her, both for well and ill, is so interesting. It's one of those characters you just kind of will follow her anywhere. Despite the fact that she does bad things, she's still an interesting person. And I was just caught up in it. It's Kate Blanchett. I can't help but be caught up in it.
That's true.
The shifting dynamic of her career through these 2 things that happen. One is her fault, and the other is not.
Yeah.
And we now live in a time where it doesn't matter because the court of public opinion rules, and it will destroy her. If it had only been the video, it probably still would have destroyed her. The edited video.
Yeah.
And but it's very much a movie of now. Again, I want to see what it looks like in 5-10 years. How do we look back on it?
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting.
Yeah. So our last movie, is this our last movie?
Yeah.
Is the one I never expected to get nominated for Best Picture.
And I'm so happy it did.
Is Women Talking.
Mm-hmm. This was a damn good movie.
But I'm going to tell you this. If the Academy is serious about inclusion, they would have nominated this a lot more than they did.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you talk about women's issues, this is right at the baseline.
This is everything you need to know about. I mean,
this could play in a double bill, as She Said.
Absolutely. It's I described it.
Tell our folks. Tell folks the story.
It's a group of women are in a I guess a Mennonite or a strict religious community.
A Mennonite community.
Yeah. Which is Amish light.
Yeah.
They can drive cars and wear colors. And
it's Amish with light bulbs.
And I think they can use snaps. So
yeah. It's not quite as 16th century.
Buttons. Yeah, they
it's more 1820s.
Yeah, or well,
more like 1870,
1910 kind of.
1910.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's actually it's in 2014. I think
it's current. Yeah.
And the women in this town are voting whether they should leave, stay and fight, or do nothing in the face of now apprehended serial rapists.
Yeah, because they're giving them horse tranquilizers.
Yes.
And they are...
And then they're being told that none of it's happening.
Right.
They're being gaslit into... But they know that it's happening. Right.
Yeah.
And so it basically breaks up into thirds where the one group says, do nothing, they're the men, we need to listen to them, habba baba baba, we're leaving. And they go home.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then the rest of the movie is the debate between the leave and the do something about it.
It's like a stage play.
I think it's adapted from a stage play, isn't it?
I don't know. But you spend most of the movie in one room with these women. All of them have a different idea about what to do. There's one who's very aggressive, one who's violently so, one woman who's very motherly. You have different types of, different points of view.
Mm-hmm.
You got the Rooney Mara character, you got the Claire Foy character, you've got the Dana Ivey character. Judith Ivey, I'm sorry.
Jessie Buckley, you've got Frances McDormand.
Brandy McDee.
Who was a producer on this, so...
Yes. That's probably how it got made.
Undoubtedly.
But it lets the women talk about their destiny.
Yeah.
About their... what they're going to do.
It's them deciding to take back their lives.
Yeah.
They're
or not.
Right. They're taking control of their lives, or they are just going to sit back and let everything happen the way it's always been.
Right.
This is a riveting discussion.
And it's mostly made in the movie. Is mostly made up of words.
Yes.
It's mostly made up of words, and it's all you. It's not just about this community. This is about women in every station of our society. In the business world, the domestic situation, college, the military. You could take this conversation and you could put it in any one of those places. And you could say, okay, what are they going to do about their own destiny?
Right.
And it speaks so much outside of just a Mennonite community.
Right.
I like that it does because it's a restrictive world.
I said to my wife, I told her about it, and then I said, it's the Village with stakes and quality.
Yeah. And a point.
Yeah. Stakes, actual consequences, not just some bullshit nonsense.
Yeah.
I appreciated this movie a lot.
If She Said didn't get nominated for anything, I'm okay because this did, because this really says a lot that She Said also says.
And this was probably the stronger film for that,
So She Said is more of a movie.
Yeah.
This spareness of all of it really does kind of hammer home the point. And I really love this. This got 2 nominations for Best Picture and Best Adapted Screenplay. And I'm so glad Sarah Polley got nominated for something.
Oh, I know.
Stories We Tell is quickly becoming one of my favorite movies of all time.
That's a hell of a documentary right there.
That is a hell of a documentary right there, and it's her story.
Yeah.
And the more I see it, the more I really understand the deeper levels. I have a feeling that if I watched women talking again and again, I think it would take on even more deep meanings. I've seen it twice.
Absolutely.
The second time I saw it, I really started to realize the universal themes that were in it.
Yeah. And I remember talking about this in our year-end wrap up, and I'm so glad that I was wrong, that the Academy didn't go, okay, let's nominate Ben Whishaw as the only actor from Women Talking.
Yeah. Unfortunately, nobody else got nominated either.
Yeah, no.
This is a cast. This is a $1 million cast right here.
Man, Claire Foy, Jessie Buckley, and Rooney Mara in a room together is just
with Randy McDee.
Yeah, it's lightning in a bottle. It's those.
Yeah.
They are four of the most talented women I can. I mean, oof.
Judith Ivey.
Yeah.
Is so good too, and I noted Judith Ivey for comedy.
Yeah.
She did comedy, and I never knew she would do something this dramatic or this strong.
That's the thing.
I was surprised.
Comedians are the best dramatic actors because it is way harder to make people laugh than it is to make people cry.
Robin Williams.
Yep. Whoopi Goldberg.
Whoopi Goldberg. We're about to talk about Whoopi Goldberg's best performance.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, it's and God help me, Will Smith. He's a comedian. Gave his best performance.
Yeah.
Which leads me to a question. Who's giving out the Best Actress award? I've been trying to find this.
I'm
giving out?
I'm sure it's probably going to be a past winner.
It probably will be
because
it ain't going to be Will Smith.
In recent years, they have switched up. Instead of having last year's winner for the men present to the women and vice versa, they've been getting different people to present the awards.
They got away from that.
Yeah.
For a while, but in the last couple of years they've been getting back to it. More for the leading than the supporting. A lot of times
they
when that
definitely
happens,
skipped it a few years ago.
Yeah. A lot of them have. I mean, some of them are working.
Yeah.
They're overseas. They're working. They're in New York. They're whatever.
Banned for 10 years from the Academy. Anything.
Banned for 10 years from the Academy. Things happen.
You're going to get that.
You're going to get that. When you slap hell out of somebody on the Oscar stage, it kind of upsets people. I don't see anything that quite that dramatic happening this year.
No. No. The drama will be in what wins, because this is a toss-up year in a lot of categories.
Oh my God!
In a lot
the
of
only
categories.
God, I think the only lock is in Best Supporting Actor,
which is not usually a very predictable. Well, actor is always more predictable than actress.
Okay, so while we're sitting here and we're recording this, and we're gonna have egg on our face in a couple of months, a couple of weeks actually, I'm gonna say Everything Everywhere All at Once is gonna win Best Picture.
I'm thinking that's the way things are gonna go.
I think Colin Farrell's gonna win Best Actor.
I agree.
I think Michelle Yeoh's gonna win Best Actress. Let's see what else.
Ke Huy Quan is going to win Supporting Actor.
Supporting Actress. Best Supporting Actress?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think Angela Bassett.
You think so? I'm looking at Jamie Lee Curtis.
I think Jamie Lee Curtis has a good shot. I think Carrie Condon actually has a pretty good shot.
We'll know when the SAG Awards happen.
Right. But I think are you familiar with mine and my wife's concept of the makeup Oscar?
What do you mean?
Well, Whoopi Goldberg won her Oscar for Ghost, but she should have won it for The Color Purple.
Yeah.
So they said, well, we didn't give it to her for that, so we'll give it to her for this.
Yeah.
It's Martin Scorsese winning for The Departed instead of every other thing that he was nominated for.
Right.
You know, it's the makeup. It's the we're sorry, we know we should have done this sooner.
It has the same amount of Oscars as 3
6 Mafia 1, Martin Scorsese 0. Because it was the year before that they won.
Be ashamed of yourselves.
Yeah. But I think this has a very good shot at being either Angela Bassett's makeup Oscar or Jamie Lee Curtis's "We're sorry we haven't nominated you before" Oscar.
Okay, let's talk about Andrea Riseborough.
Oh Christ, do we have to?
This needs to be part of the discussion. Andrea Riseborough is nominated for Best Actress for To Leslie, a movie nobody saw.
A woman that no one knows.
She's been around. I know the name.
But yeah, nobody saw this. The movie made $27,000 at the box office.
It made enough for a trip to McDonald's, basically.
Yeah. I mean, so they started looking into it. The Academy did, because the To Leslie director, his wife is an actress who has been around for a long time and has a lot of very famous friends whom she contacted directly personally and said, hey, promote my husband's film on Instagram and whatever, because there's 2 locks that are going to be for Best Actress, Danielle Deadwyler and Viola Davis. She actually said their names in the email, and we can make a blow against the small films, and we can snatch one of those away. And so it appeared to be racially motivated.
We can whitewash the category.
Right. It was racially motivated. She contacted members of the Academy directly and asked them to promote a film.
You're not allowed to do that.
You're not allowed to say other potential nominees' names in a way to say, oh, we need to beat this person from a nomination. You can't say their names. You can just say, whoever, whatever actor, we push this so that the small film can get in. No, it looked like let's push this so that we can get the white woman in, and it worked. And they're not taking
goes
the
against about every campaign rule that they have.
And they're not stripping her of the nomination.
No, they're not. There are questions swirling about it.
There were thoughts that they would have, but they're not going to do it.
No.
And she doesn't deserve to be there. I don't care how good she is in the movie.
Yeah, I can't say I haven't seen the movie yet, but
really thinking that might be the one I miss. I just
we
don't
might
want to.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll see it, and we'll do a mini episode on it, and I'll tell you if she's any damn good. But I was a little confused by what's going on with it, and as much as the Academy is trying to change its image.
This isn't helping.
I'm surprised. This is not helping. A lot of things this year are not helping.
No. The fact that there are only 2 black people nominated in the top categories, and they're both in supporting.
Yep. Because I haven't seen Causeway yet.
I haven't either, but I'm really looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to it. I'll see everything, even to Leslie. But
you know what? I might end up seeing it, but I'm not happy about it. I'll see it under protest if I have to.
I don't know why they're not responding to it. I don't get it. I don't understand why they're not more aggressive about this.
I don't know. It doesn't make sense.
It gone against their rules. They broke the rules.
They broke the rules. And
Will Smith broke the rules.
Yeah. Yeah.
Will Smith made an ass of himself on national television, and you punished him. You're not going to punish her for breaking the rules?
Well, see, the bad part is that it wasn't Riceboro that did it.
Okay. So they're not pinning it on her.
It was the director's wife that broke the campaign rules.
Yeah. So they're not punishing the actress.
They're trying to not punish the actress for the method, but at the same time, it was an ill-gotten nomination. It doesn't deserve to be there.
The classy thing for her to do is simply decline it, because if it doesn't follow the rules, if it doesn't live up to, she should just she should do that.
Yeah,
that's what she should do.
She's a white woman.
That would be the classy thing.
She's not going to do that.
Well, anybody, if they break the rules to get somebody in there,
sure,
then
the
classy thing to do is to not.
I'm saying she's probably around my age or a little younger.
Mm-hmm. She's in her 30s.
Yeah, she's a white woman. She's a white American woman in her 30s. She's not going to do the classy thing.
No, she's not.
You and I both know that.
Yeah. The only way anything will be done about it, the only thing that would be done about it is if the stink bombs start going up. People will start making noise about it.
You know what they could do? They could.
What's that?
Because of the rules violation, and this they won't do this either. They could then say that the film is disqualified for competition.
Yeah.
And take the nomination away, but not as a punishment to her, but because the film was no longer eligible.
Right.
And then they go with whomever the next one down from that is.
Right. It'd be another one.
That's what somebody said. Watch. It's like.
It'd be another Snow Whitey.
Right. Right. It would be somebody like they give it to what was it? Who am I trying to? Somebody from Women Talking, or
like Rooney Mara or something.
Yeah.
Straight up whiter than the whitest white one.
Man, well, she's Scandinavian, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
You don't get whiter than that.
No, you don't get whiter than that. I think it's bullshit.
Yeah, I do too.
Angela Bassett is going to win the Oscar, I believe, for Wakanda Forever, just to keep the points.
Yeah.
You notice ever since the Oscar's so white, they're the point makers.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that are nominated are the ones that win.
They're the snow that disproves global warming.
Right. Right. Exactly.
They're the you had a black president, so there can't be racism anymore.
It's kind of my.
Yeah, there has.
I'm trying not to call it token.
Well, that's.
But it's completely token.
I mean, if you look at, think about the fact that there has only been one black woman to win Best Lead Actress.
Right.
And it was over 20 years ago.
Uh-huh.
And since then, I think
21
only
years ago,
about
to be exact.
5 more black women have been nominated for lead actress.
Right. It's not going to happen this year.
Why is Viola Davis not nominated? Why doesn't Viola Davis have
Daniel
4
Day-Lewis
Oscars
not
already?
nominated?
Yeah.
I'm just happy. I'm happy she's got 1, but
Viola Davis should have 4 by now.
yeah, she should. She should.
All in lead actress category, by the way. That supporting actress for Fences is bullshit. She should have had a lead for that. She was as much a lead in that movie as Denzel was.
Yeah,
Probably
she was.
more so. That still pisses me off. Fences got fucked.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it did.
That was one of the best movies of that year.
But it allowed me to pick him on Armchair Oscar.
I'm sure Denzel felt really great about that.
He doesn't have an Oscar, but he's got my vote. You're welcome. You got a vote of confidence from a kid sitting down here in the shit pile in Alabama. I bet you feel just wonderful. Didn't have to do anything else the rest of his career. He's got my endorsement.
He's set.
He's set.
Hell, that's gonna filter down to John David too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
That kid's a hell of an actor. Oh my god. When is he gonna get his nominations and wins?
Denzel. There are certain people who get nominated, and I call them absent nominees because they're the ones that get nominated and you really don't even notice it. Remember that couple of years ago when Denzel got nominated for that movie where he played a lawyer?
Yeah, something Esquire.
Something Esquire. Yeah. And nobody even really noticed that he got nominated.
No, I mean he's like the obligatory nomination that Tom Hanks and Meryl Streep are.
Right.
There's just
well, Meryl Streep was.
They had a movie out. Let's nominate.
Yeah. Yeah. I will say this. There are a couple of films on the Best Picture list that I dislike, but there's nothing this year that kind of curls my blood, like Don't Look Up. I didn't like Elvis, but it didn't piss me off.
I didn't like Elvis, but I didn't want to scream from the rooftops like when I got done watching Green Book.
Yeah. You didn't want to throw the book at it. But this is a very strange year.
It is.
Nothing is really certain.
Which is what makes it so much fun.
Yeah.
I am forever. I'm elated whenever there's like a toss-up category, but this is a toss-up year. You don't get this very often.
Year. I wanted to talk before we go. I wanted to talk about the honorary awards this year. Have you seen this?
Yeah. How in the hell did Diane Warren get a nomination and an honorary in the same fucking year?
Yeah. I'm just happy that also.
That's sketchy.
I'm just happy that Usain Palsy got anything. I was looking at that the other day. I was like, I'm just thrilled that she got nominated. She got something.
Yeah.
Because and Peter Weir, good director.
Yeah.
Dead, right?
No.
Yeah. No? Is he not dead?
No. Peter Weir's alive.
He died. Is he?
Yeah.
They gave the Herschelt Award to
Michael J. Fox.
Michael J. Fox. God bless him.
Yeah.
I mean, every time I see him, it just breaks my heart.
Yeah.
You know, where's the justice in this world? You know. And it's not going to get better.
No. It's not.
It's not going to get better. But anyway, that's our Oscar show, for better or worse. I think that it's going to be a runoff between All Quiet on the Western Front and Everything Everywhere All at Once.
You know, I would kind of hope. I kind of wish that's the case, because All Quiet on the Western Front deserves to win a number of
It's
things.
going to win all of your dressing awards. Everything Everywhere All at Once is going to win all of your technical awards.
That and Avatar.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, because Everything Everywhere All at Once...
visual effects? I can't...
Because, by comparison, Avatar feels a little like leftovers, perhaps, to the Oscars. There's a sense, if you put the two films side by side in a category, Avatar might look like, well, I've seen this before.
Right.
It might look like, okay, well...
But you ain't seen
we know
nothing
that.
like Everything Everywhere All at Once.
You have not seen this movie
Ever.
before. Nobody has ever done Multiverse better.
No.
Outside of, say, Rick and Morty.
No.
You know?
Yeah, this was... I love it. Anyway.
It's a hell of a good movie.
Yeah, it is. So yeah, that about wraps it up, I guess, here. You can find all of our back episodes at the podbaydorspodcast.wordpress.com. You can listen to us on iTunes and YouTube. Hit the like, subscribe, and notifications buttons there. You can find us on Twitter, still, I guess, at pod_bay. Copy and paste that and put that into Patreon, and that's our handle there. We thank you so very much for joining us, and the Pod Bay doors are now closed.
The mission has been completed.
And just like the guy whose feet are too big for his bed, nothing seems to fit. Those raindrops are falling on my head, they keep falling. So I just did me some talking to the sun, and I said I didn't like the way he got things done, sleeping on the job. Those raindrops are falling on my head, they keep falling. But there's one thing I know, the blues they send to meet me won't defeat me. It won't be long till happiness steps up to greet me. Raindrops keep falling on my head, but that doesn't mean my eyes will soon be turning red. Crying's not for me, 'cause I'm never gonna stop the rain by complaining, because I'm free. Nothing's worrying me. It won't be long till happiness steps up to greet me. Raindrops keep falling on my head, but that doesn't mean my eyes will soon be turning red. Crying's not for me, 'cause I'm never gonna stop the rain by complaining, because I'm free. Nothing's worrying me.